Yesterday, both the House and Senate voted to release the long-withheld files related to a man who considered himself to be Trump's closest friend for more than a decade, the late criminal Jeffrey Epstein. The vote in Congress went 427-1. It was such a landslide, Trump might actually be able to rebury the Epstein files. Let's get to another weird day in Washington today, where a man who does not believe in medical science may soon be in charge of medical science. Robert Kennedy Jr., Donald Trump's pick to run the Department of Health and Human Services, faced the Senate today.
Forget rumors. We have receipts. Jimmy Kimmel lit up his studio with a jaw-dropping attack on Trump and RFK Jr., and people are still trying to figure out the real motive. Was it personal? Was it planned? Or is something happening behind the curtain that nobody's talking about? The clues are hidden in every punchline, every smirk, every pause. So today we break it down. What Kimmel said, what it means, and what comes next.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I mean, seriously, though, he says a lot of crazy stuff. In that same press conference, he said there have been no murders in Washington, D.C. in the last 6 months because of him. There have been 62 murders in Washington. And then it was time for our Secretary of Health and Human Sunburn, RFK Jr., who explained why we are so woefully underbabied right now.
Today, the average teenager in this country has 50% of their sperm.
Jimmy Kimmel unleashed a meltdown of comedic destruction so powerful that the studio lights probably considered early retirement. The moment he started, it was as if every joke in the Western Hemisphere got drafted into battle and they all showed up caffeinated. The audience didn't laugh, they detonated. Security guards were probably looking for a fire extinguisher labeled ego damage.
Today sent the bill to the White House. Now, usually when Trump gets a bill, he declares bankruptcy and doesn't pay it. But this one, he's going to have to sign it, or at least he says he's going to sign it, which means there's about maybe a 12% chance he will. Trump hasn't been this nervous about signing something since Don Jr.'s birth certificate.
Nothing was spared. The punchlines flew faster than campaign promises in election season and twice as unrealistic. Trump's confidence got flattened, RFK Jr.'s talking points got steamrolled, and political pride got drop-kicked into orbit. No mercy, no hesitation, and absolutely no survivors except the viewers clinging to their sides from laughter.
Bob and his brainworm answered questions for 3.5 hours. Yesterday, his first cousin, Caroline Kennedy, daughter of JFK, made a video opposing his confirmation and adding to the long list of crazy stories about this crazy person.
His basement, his garage, his dorm room were always the center of the action, where drugs were available, and he enjoyed showing off how he put baby chickens and mice in a blender to feed to his hawks.
Well, that explains why he lost.
Somewhere in the chaos, even the microphones looked overwhelmed, like they didn't sign up to be used as weapons of mass comedic humiliation. The band probably stopped playing to fill out insurance paperwork. If sarcasm could file tax returns, it would claim every moment from that segment as income.
They are so scared of Trump. What is going on? Is he beating them? I don't get it. They just blindly defend him. They don't know what's in those files. They're taking his word for it. They're taking the word of someone who paid a porn star $130,000 and claims he didn't do anything with her. Even if Trump keeps his promise and signs the bill, we don't know whether the Department of Justice will actually release all the files or if they'll be tied up in investigations, specifically investigations Trump orders to keep them tied up in investigations.
The wildest part wasn't just the roasting, it was how casual it all felt. Kimmel delivered the blows with the energy of someone describing a grocery list, except the grocery list was filled with demolition-grade humor. Every joke landed like a piano dropped from a skyscraper, but with better timing and more satisfying splat effects. Even the camera angles seemed to zoom in out of panic, as if hoping someone, anyone, would call timeout before another verbal meteor struck. The Trump segment hit first like a freight train full of vinegar. If ego were a material, it would have been powdered and sold on late-night infomercials as an exfoliator. Then the attention swerved toward RFK Jr., and the comedic tire tracks didn't miss. Campaign speeches turned into circus music, interviews transformed into unintentional sitcoms, and political strategy sounded like it was written on the back of a fast food napkin. By the time Kimmel finished, the concept of dignity needed a legal guardian. The audience laughed like they were collecting points toward a free toaster.
He put baby chickens and mice in a blender to feed his hawks. And guess what? Not one of the 27 senators on the Finance Committee asked him about it today. Not one. We've reached the point where these cabinet picks are so nutty, the idea that one of them was making Stuart Little smoothies doesn't even come up. They did grill him on the subject of abortion and vaccines, subjects on which he has very conveniently evolved since pledging allegiance to the cantaloupe in chief. Most of his defense today was some version of, I didn't say the Moderna vaccine turned kids gay. I said it turned some of them bisexual.
The political universe is still spinning. Every podcast, news show, blog writer, and uncle at the dinner table used this event as fuel. Some used it to roast Trump. Some used it to defend RFK Jr. Some used it just as an excuse to gossip because humans love drama almost as much as free snacks. Everyone walked away affected, even if they pretended not to be. But the real masterpiece was the comparison game. Not one direct quote, not a single imitation of sound, just pure theatrical exaggeration. Each punchline turned tiny flaws into blockbuster disasters and magnified every personality quirk until it felt like a cartoon special. It wasn't just roasting. It was a live-action demolition derby where the vehicles were egos and sarcasm was steering. The camera cut to the crowd like a wildlife documentary showing animals realizing they may be in danger while also enjoying snacks. Reports online claimed that political supporters needed a moment. That moment turned into a cool-down period, which turned into motivational quotes, which turned into passionate ranting, and somehow transformed into writing long comments that nobody asked for.
I think you're going to have, hopefully, a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help. We're going to help him. We're going to be helping him. I'll be cheering for him. A lot of my voters actually voted for him, and 1 in 10. And I'm okay with that.
What a turn of events! It was like he was giving a wedding toast to his new son-in-law. He's effusive. It's almost as if, and I know this sounds crazy, it's almost as if Trump doesn't have any real political convictions at all. He just says, whatever.
Meanwhile, Kimmel was probably backstage petting his monologue cards like victory trophies. The comedic devastation traveled. Political analysts paused their serious tones and shifted into survival mode commentary. Media headlines tried to soften the blow, but every attempt sounded like saying, it's fine, during a 4-alarm emotional fire. Even podcast hosts who normally stay neutral accidentally burst into laughter mid-sentence, and the memes. The internet didn't wait. Screenshots, edited clips, animated GIFs, reaction faces, and images captioned with pure mockery flooded timelines like a tidal wave of chaos. People who hadn't watched the segment suddenly wanted to because nothing attracts attention like absolute obliteration disguised as comedy. Meanwhile, everyone else was laughing because the only actual conspiracy here was why the jokes were allowed to go that hard on broadcast television against a self-acclaimed King Trump.
Now, most presidents at the turkey pardon keep it light. They make a few bad puns, they wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and they go back to work. But that's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump used the opportunity to brag about all the wars he's ending, how low his imaginary prices are now, and out of nowhere, took shots at the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois.
The mayor was a low IQ person. The mayor is incompetent, and the governor is...
This wasn't just a roast, it became a cultural moment, a checkpoint in the timeline where late-night television reminded the world that comedy is undefeated. The audience didn't just laugh, they surrendered. Even people who strongly disagree with Kimmel begrudgingly admitted that something catastrophic yet entertaining happened on that stage. Trump's reaction online came in waves of dramatic flair, posts bursting with capital letters, urgent punctuation, and the unmistakable flair of someone who refuses to be ignored. RFK Jr.'s supporters tried the quieter approach first, then the dramatic one, then the, if we ignore it, it will go away. The aftermath became show entertainment across platforms. People replayed their favorite moments, analyzed punchlines frame by frame, and created highlight reels like they were documenting a sports championship. Even viewers who never watched late-night TV bookmarked it like a historical event.
They're smiling, he's grabbing his hand, he's touching him all over. He could not keep his hands off the Zoran. I mean, get a Lincoln bedroom, you two. He touched him more in that press conference than he's touched Melania all year. But I have to say, this really got the MAGAverse twisted. They had to unplug and reboot Sean Hannity 5 times after this meeting. This is the reaction at Fox Business Channel.
Wow. Just one word, wow.
Is that a good well or a bad? The hearing was rocky, to say the least. And not just because it sounds like he swallowed a bag of rocks. Kennedy was accompanied by his wife, the actress Cheryl Hines, who sat quietly behind her husband as he attempted to rewrite the story of his life.
Did you say that exposure to pesticides causes children to become transgender?
And now the political world knows it. Comedy doesn't just entertain. It exposes. It ridicules. It taps the soft spots and pushes them with the enthusiasm of a toddler pressing every elevator button. It doesn't matter how powerful, influential, wealthy, revered, or loud someone is. If they walk into the comedy arena, they risk getting absolutely obliterated for the sake of laughter. From boardrooms to bedrooms, people kept bringing it up. Everyone wanted to explain their interpretation, their angle, their emotional journey, their disbelief, or their pride. The debate didn't stay on television. It grew legs, jumped across devices, and marched into daily conversations like an uninvited but dramatic guest. It's safe to say Kimmel earned whatever smug grin he walked away with, knowing he had successfully sent Trump and RFK Jr. into the phantom zone. Not the quiet, subtle kind, the bold one that says he knows exactly what he did to the political ecosystem. He didn't just tell jokes, he cracked the ceiling, flipped the table, set the rulebook on fire, and walked out like someone who knows security won't dare stop him.
But does he really look at himself in the mirror and go, I am thin? I am so thin, I can comment on others who aren't.
So Governor Pritzker, if you're listening, let's get your act together. Invite us in. I had a little bit of a Pritzker joke. I was going to talk about Pritzker and size, but when I talk about Pritzker, I get angry because he's not letting us do the job. So I'm not going to tell my Pritzker joke. They have a very cute little joke, you know. Some speechwriter wrote some joke about his weight, but I would never want to talk about his weight. I don't talk about people being fat. I refuse to talk about the fact that he's a fat slob. I don't mention it.
I don't know if that's sarcasm or...
Testosterone as a 65-year-old man. Our girls are hitting puberty 6 years earlier. And that's bad, but also our parents aren't having children.
Well, good. I don't want my parents having...
Some late-night moments are memorable, some spark conversations, but every once in a while, a segment becomes a stamp in the collective memory, where even years later people say, oh yeah, that's when everything went nuts. This was one of those moments, and whether you love Trump, love RFK Jr., love chaos, or love comedy, one thing is permanently established in the Cultural Hall of Fame. The night Jimmy Kimmel walked onto the stage, aimed humor like TNT, and sent two of the loudest names in politics flying into the stratosphere of meme history. That was the night laughter ruled, sarcasm reigned, and the world watched a monologue set the entire political internet on fire just for fun. Even international viewers joined the spectacle, laughing in languages that didn't even require subtitles to understand the scale of the meltdown. Late-night historians, yes, that is absolutely a thing now, cataloged the event with the seriousness of experts preserving ancient artifacts. They mapped every twist of the mouth, every tilt of the eyebrow, every pause before a punchline, treating it like a once-in-a-generation comedic specimen that future civilizations must study.
Either way, he really captures the spirit of Thanksgiving. And then the president pardoned the birds as only he can.
It looks like a rather violent bird. It's hard to play. Anyway, are you ready? Beautiful. That's nice. You are hereby unconditionally...
Universities probably started drafting elective classes solely dedicated to the monologue, complete with final exams where students reenact reactions rather than presentations. And the political sphere didn't get a day off. Every interview, debate, rally, and online statement afterward had a faint shadow hovering over it, like the memory of a joke that refuses to stop echoing. Even when Trump or RFK Jr. addressed completely unrelated topics, viewers didn't hear policy. They heard the silent soundtrack of that night's laughter, lingering like background music that refuses to mute. Campaign advisors worked overtime shaping confidence, polishing public images, and rebuilding enthusiasm, only to be reminded every time a reporter casually mentioned late-night television. It was like trying to renovate a building while someone projects memes onto the exterior walls. Nothing structurally changed, yet the perception shifted dramatically, simply because comedy reached the one place political strategy can't touch, the public's sense of humor. People love drama, but they love hilarious drama even more. And this was premium quality entertainment that landed right in their laps.
Is where things will get interesting. Will we have the original documents, or is Trump going to pull a Taylor Swift and give us the Epstein Files Donnie's version of the document. We might not ever know. Trump claims this whole thing is a Democrat hoax, and the reason he refused to sign an executive order to release the files months ago is because it's a waste of time. And that's the thing about Donald Trump. This is not a man who wastes time on nonsense.
We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this on the grounds of the White House.
This is an executive order relating to the use of paper straws.
Changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. I know a lot about reverse bathtubs. I've done it. You can't imitate gold, real gold. Now, nobody knows what.
The world eventually moved forward, but not without tucking this moment away like premium ammunition waiting for the perfect dramatic comeback. It lives in people's heads the same way unforgettable sports replays do, ready to be launched the second political tension reaches boiling point. The next time campaign trails start wobbling or media narratives begin sprinting around in confused circles, someone will drag that clip back into the spotlight with the dedication of a historian polishing a legendary artifact. It instantly earned a seat beside the great comedic takedowns, including that time Kimmel absolutely roasted Trump without breaking a sweat, turning late-night television into the world's favorite arena. It evolved into a digital heirloom, preserved through reaction videos, stitched commentary, hyper-edited memes, cartoon reenactments, and dramatic remasters ready to resurrect themselves anytime history needs proof that laughter never loses. No matter how serious, heated, or theatrical politics becomes, comedy always finds the opening no one else sees. It flips the table, takes the crown, redirects the spotlight, and walks away untouched. Not because it asked for permission, but because it didn't need any to begin with.